This week in Jamaica Now, security guards accost gunmen after they shot a reputed gangster leaving an elite gym in Kingston.
Where you come from?
Suspect identified after disturbing child porn video goes viral. Why anti-gay pastor Stephen Anderson has been banned from coming to Jamaica. Holness on the fire for placing the acting Chief Justice on probation.
Actions that brings results will determine the assumption of the role.
And St. James State of Public Emergency extended until May 2. I'm Damian Mitchell, and this is Jamaica Now. There was heightened anxiety on Lady Musgrave Road in Kingston during peak hour traffic on Friday morning as a group of King Alarm security guards accosted two gunmen at the Spartan Health Club. The gunmen had just shot and injured reported gangster Uriel James alias Rooksy as he left the gym.
Where you come from? Huh?
5 years ago, Rooksy was freed of the murder of a security guard and also acquitted of gun charges in connection with another case. However, he is still before the court on other criminal charges. The King Alarm security guards were passing Spartan Health Club when they heard explosions and responded. A Glock pistol, a Ruger, and 22 rounds of ammunition were handed over to the police. The suspect in a disturbing child porn video that went viral has been identified and is being pursued in Trinidad and Tobago, where the offense happened. The Trinidad Express newspaper says the grandmother of the child, who is 6 years old, said she has made a report to the police. The newspaper also reported that neighbors had accosted and beaten the suspect, but he escaped while being handed over to the police. In Jamaica, the police are urging people to delete the video as it is an offense to share child pornographic material. Multiple murder accused Michael Mclean on Thursday fired his lawyer in court during a series of boisterous outbursts on day 2 of his trial for the 2006 killing of 4 children and 2 women in St. Thomas. Mclean, who is now representing himself, also engaged the trial judge Bertram Morrison in a heated exchange, claiming that he would not get a fair hearing. At one point, the judge said he would order restraint for Mclean. In the meantime, Mclean is claiming that in the 12 years he has been in custody under high security, he has dated 2 teachers and a secretary. He said he took them to several guest houses and he had the evidence on a memory card he wished to hand over to the Independent Commission of Investigations. Anti-gay U.S. preacher Stephen Anderson was this week prevented from boarding a flight to Jamaica by airline officials in Atlanta. The National Security Ministry says the decision was made by the Chief Immigration Officer because the pastor's statements are not conducive to the current climate. Anderson was scheduled to land at the Norman Manley International Airport on a Delta Airlines flight on Monday with his 14-year-old son to do missionary work on the island. His intended visit was primarily opposed by members of the gay community who contended that his messages were homophobic and condoned violence against an already marginalized group. Prime Minister Andrew Holness came in for harsh criticisms this week for essentially announcing that Brian Sykes was being placed on probation as Chief Justice. Already there was concern that Sykes was being appointed only to act as Chief Justice. But during his swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday, Mr. Holness's pronouncement stoked further controversy.
I'm confident that Justice Sykes will act in the role of Chief Justice and very soon will fully assume the role of Chief Justice. But as I said earlier, and I close on the point, actions that brings results, actions that brings results will determine the assumption of the role.
I'm certain that the Chief Justice understands that I am a person who believes in systems of accountability. I am not intent on treading, trampling, or in any way interfering with the independence of the judiciary. But the judiciary is also accountable for how taxpayers' funds are spent.
The state of public emergency in St. James has been extended until May 2. So far, nearly 500 people have been detained and processed in the parish, with most of them released. But the authorities say several others could be charged with criminal offenses. The security forces have also recovered 10 firearms and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. In the meantime, the National Security Ministry says it has identified additional locations at the Horizon Adult Remand Center in Kingston and the Tamarind Farm Adult Correctional Facility in St. Catherine to house the detainees. There were cries over the horrid conditions, including cramped spaces in which detainees were being held. The Parliament this week learned that government agencies owe the National Works Agency almost $1 billion in management fees, with one entity racking up about $680 million. The Auditor General's Department says as at March 31, 2016, the NWA's long-standing receivables stood at $1.74 billion, including management fees totaling $1.1 billion. According to the Auditor General Pamela Monroe-Ellis, these fees have been outstanding for more than 2 years. The NWA has said that more than 90% of the sums owed represent outstanding fees from government entities for projects that were completed. And so the Auditor General has recommended that the NWA strengthen its systems to improve debt collection and income reporting. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, a tour of Denham Town, where the zone of special operations is in effect.